Welcome, friends, it is I, your LostScarf, and it's time for Smanswers Episode 2, and in the background is Kirby and the Powerpuff Girls, and this is a Wreck-It Ralph shirt. Alright, let's get going here. So, let's answer your questions starting now. First question is, what buffs go to what roles? And usually it is the same buff goes the same role, and that is generally mid gets red, a jungle gets orange, blue goes to solo, and also to ADC. Support doesn't get any buffs unless the ADC doesn't need mana, and that's pretty rare there. Sometimes you can see different gods mix it up and get other buffs, but usually for the most part you generally want to give them to those roles because they can use them the best. Next question is, how good are CDR boots compared to pen boots for physical? And the answer is, it really depends on your god. You only want to get CDR boots for more caster-heavy gods, and that would be Thanatos, Bastet, and to an extent Kali. Kali can actually be both. Kali has the power to be whatever the hell you want her to be, and be very scary at it. But just talking about Bastet and Thanatos, both of them can do a lot of damage with just their abilities, not really basic attacks. Especially Thanatos. His 1 does a ton of damage, his 2 is a natural pen, his 3 sets things up with silence and damage for other abilities, and his ultimate's an execute, so being able to do that more often isn't bad. And also, usually when you get the CDR boots, you're going to get your pen because you're going to get Jotun's Wrath to fill out your pen and also max your cooldown so that you can do even more damage. So, with those 2 items combined for max and cooldown, you're going to be pretty hard to deal with, you're going to pen pretty hard, do a lot of damage, and you can still build plenty of basic attack potential for your assassins later on. Now, this is a tough question. That is, how do you deal with Vulcan's cannon as a melee god? And the answer is you don't. You just don't deal with it. You let him zone you out and go do something else. You only deal with it if you know if you can kill that tower with 1 ability or hit, or if you can just jump past it or dash past it, and you know you can kill Vulcan after you sacrifice your escape. If you think you cannot kill him after sacrificing your escape, then don't do it. You just let him zone you out and get the hell out of there, because that turret of his will kill you, or at least set you up for another teammate to kill you instead. Vulcan can stall very well, because not only does he have a turret to back you off, he's got his backpack to hit you and go further back, but he's also got his balls he can throw in your face to bounce you wherever he wants to make it even longer. The longer you take to fight Vulcan, the better chance you have of getting killed, so for the most part, just don't even deal with Vulcan. Now here's an interesting question that is not easy to answer, and that is, who is Doom Orb good on? And the answer is, any mage for the most part can use it, and can be lethal with it, but the problem of course is, when you die, you lose half your stacks, and mages are fragile. So if I have to recommend gods to use this, I'm going to recommend gods who have sustain and escapes that will get them out of there, and that would be only 6 gods. That would be Hel, she's got great sustain, and of course, a cleanse. Chango, of course, has great sustain. She has her 2 that makes her invulnerable, and of course, she has her ultimate to stun you down if she needs to. Ra, of course, is the best friggin' healer in the game, and a slow, and just punishing abilities. Freya has that escape that can get her away. She has a banish that can help her get away. Also, she can just beat you down if she wants. Kronos can beat you down, slow you down, stun you, or ult the hell out of there. And of course, Aphrodite has her ultimate. And of course, the sustain from her 3, and of course, the ability to knock you back and to stun you. So these gods have a lot of means to not lose the Doom Orb, which is why it's pretty viable on them. A question related to that, which caused a lot of debate, was, could a support use Doom Orb and be viable with it? And the fudge, no! No! No, 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 no! Supports can do some pretty good damage. But, not with a Doom Orb. Here's what the support does. Support does a few things. Support set people up for death. Doing damage can help that out. Sometimes they have to get the kill, so having some power is pretty good for that. But the second point, of course, is you're the objective clear. You're the person who takes the tower damage. You run in there and steal the gold here. You run in there and you steal the fire giant. You're gonna die. Also, if your team's in a team fight and someone needs to save everyone else's lives and has to die to do it, if you have to Optimus Prime, it is the support that Optimus Primes. Simple as that. So dying and losing those stacks sucks. But we can compare here. Doom Orb gives you 140 magical power when you have full stacks, and only costs 1900 gold. That's pretty nice. Pretty cheap, good bang for your buck, but of course those stacks, if you die, it's not so good. And supports don't die as much. But let's compare to a different item. Ethereal Staff. 2,700 gold to buy this thing. A little more expensive. But it gives you HP, mana, 30 magical power, and then the passive, which is 2% of your HP, gives you more magical power. Most supports, they hit about 3,000 HP. That's another 60 power. So you get 90 magical power at level 20 when you get the Ethereal Staff. And that's not even counting the HP you get from other items you're probably building as a support. So 90 magical power, not as much as 140, but still pretty good and comparable. So I say get that, not the Doom Orb, if you have to get something for more power. Another question related to supports is, would Gem of Isolation be useful on any supports? And the answer is almost half of them. Any Guardian that does one hit, not so great. So Gib, not so great. Ymir, although he has slows, not so great. He only has 3 damaging abilities, and one of them is his ultimate, so you're not really slowing them down for that one. I don't really like Gem Isolation on anyone who doesn't do multiple hits. So the Guardians that it's great on are only 4, and that is Ares, because he's got his chains and his fire, Cabrakan, because of his tremors, Sylvanas, because of his wisps, and I believe his ultimate DOT also will proc the Gem of Isolation, and Box's Belch. And also his ultimate, you're slowed down for 2 seconds during that ultimate. It's going to be pretty bad for you. So those are the Guardians I feel that are worth putting Gem of Isolation on. And then there's one last question related to supports, and that is ward rushing a good thing? The idea here is you go to both blue buffs and put wards, then go back to base, get your stuff, and then go back. The idea is you rush there and do that. The answer is hell to the no. You are wasting time on that. Literally your time and the ward's time. Because you're going to, put these things in the blue camps at like 1 minute? No, you're doing this so you know where the enemy is, but also so they don't invade you? But 1 minute early, you're just wasting 30 seconds or a minute on your wards. You should probably put it about 30 seconds, maybe 20 seconds. 20 seconds might be cutting a bit close, but about 30 seconds putting the wards in their spots will tell you where the enemy is and if they're going to invade. 1 minute is just too early. That's a waste of time. You should take your time to pick your build, get over there and put the wards down. Rushing it just isn't worth your time. And the last question is Fenrir a good early, mid, or late game god? And the answer is Fenrir wrecks face early game and mid-game pretty well. If you get him fed, he'll do very well in both those phases. Late game, if you get him fed, it can carry over and do more damage. But what makes Fenrir very special is the fact he has CC, which can allow him to do things in the late game. Fenrir, of course, has a leap that can be used with a stun if you fill up the runes on that. So he can jump into a team fight and stun a bunch of the enemy. Not only that, but he can also ultimate with his just Ragnarok and bite somebody and pull them out of the fight. So he can slow down the enemy team with stuns, and then isolate one of them to get horribly destroyed by the team. So Fenrir is effective at all times, but he is squishy, so you have to be very careful of how you play him in the late game. And that is all the questions there. Hope you guys enjoyed those questions, found that very informative. There are, of course, more questions to answer in the future. And the next guide that's coming up is going to be based on the 5 free gods. So that's going to be very helpful there for any of you who want some little bit of tips and tricks for those 5 free gods that are new to the game. Should be very helpful there. And as always, put your opinions here in the comments, and also any questions you want to have answered. And of course, if you are shy to ask them in the comments, you can always ask them over at smitesmanswers@gmail.com. And that should be everything there. Thank you everyone for your questions and your comments and everything with that. And share this with your friends and anyone else you feel could get better at the game. The more people who learn more information, the better it is for everybody. So there you go. That is Smanswers. I hope it was informative for you. I know it was informative for me. And that was a lot of fun. So I had fun with it. If I'm watching, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? Having fun. Thanks for coming by in. See you next time.